Delegates, please be seated quickly.
Before any committee begins, you must make sure that quorum is maintained. A certain amount of delegates must be present at the committee for it to function. In the GAs, 1/3 of the committee must be present, but in the UNC there is no need. With 10 delegates in this committee of 10 states, quorum has been set.
Delegates, we will now enter into roll call. Please state your voting preference between present or present in voting once the dais calls upon you. Brazil?
Brazil is present.
Canada.
Canada is present.
China?
The People's Republic of China is present and voting.
To begin any session, the dais must enter roll call. Here, attendance is taken, as well as the voting preference when it becomes time for resolutions.
Pakistan?
Delegates must choose either to be present, willing to vote yes, no, or to abstain, or present and voting, pledging only to vote yes or no. Remember to refer to states by their full and official names. Record the way that each delegate votes on a sheet to refer to later when it becomes time for resolutions.
The United States is present and voting.
Now, call for any motions or points on the floor. Typically at this point, delegates will motion to open the primary speakers list, PSL, which is where delegates begin to share their views on which topics to discuss.
Are there any points or motions on the floor at this time? Yes, Russia.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The Russian Federation motions to open the primary speakers list.
This motion is in order. Thank you, Russia. Are there any other points or motions on the floor at this time? Seeing none, we will quickly go into procedural voting on Russia's motion to open the primary speakers list. All those delegates in favor of entering the primary speakers list, please raise your placards now.
This kind of vote is a procedural vote. To pass such a vote, you need a simple majority, 50% of the committee plus one. In this case, we will need 6 members to pass any procedural matter.
This motion has clearly passed. As we are now on the primary speakers list, all those delegates wishing to be placed on the list, please raise your placards now.
Here you must compile the PSL and add all states who wish to be placed here. Give priority to the delegate who first motioned, so Russia should be first on this list.
France.
It is customary to have the PSL available
India.
for all to see via a whiteboard or a MUN program such as WorldMUN. Now, the speaking time must be set. Entertain a motion for this.
Thank you. Are there any motions to set the speaking time? Yes, Turkey.
Honorable Chair, fellow delegates, the Republic of Turkey would like to move to set the primary speaker time to 2 minutes.
Thank you, Turkey. That motion is in order. Are there any other points or motions on the floor at this time? Seeing none, we will now vote on Turkey's motion to set the speaking time for the primary speakers list at 2 minutes. All those delegates in favor, please raise your placards now. This motion passes. Russia, you now have the floor for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The Russian Federation.
Thank you, Russia.
Thank you, Russia. The Republic of France, you now have the floor for 2 minutes.
Delegates, the French Republic would...
After a few speeches, open the floor to points or motions. Hopefully by this point, a sufficient discussion has occurred, which will motivate a delegate to try and set the agenda to a desired topic.
Are there any other points or motions on the floor at this time? Yes, India?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The Republic of India would like to motion to set the agenda to topic A.
When this happens, there must be a debate between 2 speakers for and 2 speakers against the entering of the topic. Call upon nations to fill this role.
Thank you, India. We will need 2 speakers for and 2 speakers against. Delegates wishing to speak for topic A, please raise your placards now. Thank you, Turkey and India. Delegates who wish to speak against topic A, please raise your placards. Thank you, Pakistan and China. We will now begin the speeches in the following order. First, Turkey. Second, Pakistan. Third, India. And fourth, China. Turkey, you now have the floor for 1 minute.
Honorable Chair, fellow delegates.
Thank you, Turkey. Pakistan, you now have the floor.
Thank you.
India, you now have the floor.
India.
China, you now have the floor. Thank you, delegates. We will now move on to voting procedure on moving into topic A. All those delegates in favor of moving into topic A, please raise your placards now. With 8 delegates in favor of this motion, we have a simple majority, so this passes.
Now we have officially entered the secondary speakers list, SSL, which occurs as soon as a topic is entered. Go through the same procedure you did to open the PSL. It is here in the SSL that delegates will deliver speeches and motion for moderate caucuses, debates, or unmoderated caucuses so as to solve the issues at hand.
Delegates, we have now entered into topic A on the situation in Syria. All those delegates who wish to be added to the secondary speakers list, please raise your placards now.
Again, give priority to those who initiated this process. So grant Turkey and India the first 2 spots. Then, add the other nations who have their placards raised.
China. United States of America.
Similar procedure follows from the PSL. We will quickly jump into a situation of a caucus being motioned. Remember, ask, are there any points or motions on the floor at this time? After a good portion of the delegates have been able to push the discussion to a narrowed down issue.
Are there any other points or motions on the floor at this time? The dais recognizes Canada.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Canada motions for moderate caucus for a duration of 10 minutes with a 1-minute speaking time on a topic of ramifications and consequences for Syria.
Here, a motion has been made for a moderated caucus. A moderated caucus is traditionally when a specific, narrowed down issue within the topic of discussion is on the table for debate. Once begun, the dais will open the floor for potential speakers and select one. Once finished their speech, the dais will continue to choose more delegates until the time for caucus has expired. Motioning delegates must set and pass a duration, as well as the speaking time. There are generally 2 kinds of caucuses which will be proposed in such a fashion. The first is, again, a moderated caucus, but the other essential caucus is known as the unmoderated caucus. Here, a duration is set, but no speaking time. Delegates are free to move around and discuss matters. Generally, this time is allotted for delegates to work on their working papers and draft resolutions with one another, not having to worry about sharing views for all to hear.
Thank you, Canada. Are there any other points or motions on the floor at this time? Seeing none, we will now enter into voting upon Canada's motion for a 10-minute moderated caucus with a 1-minute speaking time to discuss the ramifications of the protests on Syria. All those in favor, please raise your placards now. This motion clearly passes. Delegates, we are now in a 10-minute moderated caucus with a speaking time of 1 minute. Canada, as the nation who initiated this, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Canada motion.
Thank you, Canada. Please be seated. All delegates wishing to speak, please raise your placards now.
When delegates raise their placards during a moderated caucus, make sure you choose carefully. Try not to have too many consecutive speakers from one voting block, and always try to choose delegates who have not just spoken yet. When the time is up, the moderated caucus expires. At this point, you have the option of either to A. Entertain an extension of the caucus, but if not, revert it to B. I'll return to the secondary speakers list.